Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to show you how to make the We the People cups. So we're going to be making this. It's not as hard as it looks, I promise, and it comes out absolutely amazing. Okay, so here I'm showing you a finished cup that I've made in this style, and I'm going to show you how I did it. First I went on Google and I searched for an image for the Constitution. I went to print that out on my regular printer and I blew it up, scaled the size to be landscape and to fill the page. So here I'm just tearing the edges of the white off because you want the strips that you're going to put on your cup to have torn edges. It looks more rustic. So I'm just going to go around each edge of this image and tear off the white area. And there's no right or wrong way to do this. However you want to do it is fine. This is just how I do it. So now that I've gotten the edges torn off, I'm just going to tear strips off of it. You don't want them to be too wide because it makes it hard to put down on the cup. You'll get a lot of air pockets and bubbles if you do that. So not too wide, not too skinny. And then I'm going to take a lighter and I'm going to go around the edges and burn the edges to make this look like it's worn and old. So just light it on fire and then blow it out. I don't know about you guys, but I remember back in high school having to do reports and things in social studies, history class, and doing this to some of my reports. It brought back some memories. So I'm just going to continue to do that, going around the edges, lighting it on fire, blowing it out. Now I have a laser printer, so I printed this stuff out and I won't need to seal it prior to, placing it on my cup with glue. If you have an inkjet, then you're probably going to want to seal it, and I'll show you coming up what I recommend to seal if you have an inkjet. I used to have one and then I upgraded to a laser. It was the best thing I could have ever done. I love not having to seal things, especially water slides. It makes it so much easier. Also, quick tip on water slide paper. I use the Sunny Scopa brand, and I don't know if everybody knows this, but not only do they have regular, but they also have thick. I choose the thick because it is thicker and it's easier to manipulate and work with and not have to worry about it cracking. So I'm just continuing to go along the edges and burn that stuff up. So you see here my finished pieces that I've burned all the edges of. If there's a tiny bit of white left on it, it's perfectly okay. So again, I have a laser. I didn't have to seal, but you will want to if you have an inkjet. I use Colonial Red spray paint here to base paint my cup. You could use red gloss if you wanted. That's perfectly fine. I just wanted to go ahead and get a cup prepared for this, so that's what I did. For the blue portion, I used navy blue spray paint. Now, I didn't measure on here. I'm just kind of eyeballing it. And I'm just spraying, an area that's similar to a square on the side of this cup. So after I did that, I went and I cut out some stars. I bought a flag image on Etsy a long time ago. So I went on there and I measured on my cup with my measuring tape how wide that blue area is, and I used that to decide what size to cut my stars. So that's what you'll want to do. Just however big your area is, you measure that on the cup and then you print out the stars, or cut out the stars, I'm sorry. So I cut them out on white 651 vinyl, and after I put my transfer on there, I'm just going to trim around the edge. It helps putting placement on there. If you trim as close to your vinyl as possible, leaving a whole bunch of excess makes it easier to get a bunch of bubbles and wrinkles when you place it on. So I'm just going to place my stars over that blue area. I'm just trying to make sure that I have it lined up to where it's going to be center with my blue. Now you are going to want to let your cup off gas if you use spray paint. So 24 to 48 hours, rule of thumb, if you can put it up to your nose and smell it, and you can't smell the paint anymore, then you're good to go to move forward. I do have a tendency of like putting my images and things on my cup and then letting it off gas. I mean, I don't do that if I'm going to put glitter on it. I will let it off gas first. But, you know, you should probably let it off gas before you put anything on it. I can't guarantee you won't have problems if you don't do that. So there I had one little star wrinkle up. I'm just using my pen tool to kind of flip that edge up so that I can push it down flat. And there you have it. And you're going to see that there's some excess blue, but that's not a problem for this cup. It does not need to be perfect. So now I'm going to use glitter glue. I love this stuff. It's amazing. They should have more in stock in the next few weeks, and I'm excited because I'm going to stock up and buy a bunch of it. So I'm using my paintbrush and my glitter glue, and I'm going to glue my strips on there. I'm going to put the glue on the cup first, and then I will put more glue over top of the strip. Now your We the People piece, you're going to leave that for last. And you can put it on the cup however you want. There is no right or wrong way to do it. It's just however you want to do it. If you don't want your pieces to go into your stars, then you can tear it off to make it fit. Some of them I let go into the stars. Again, there's no right or wrong way. So I'm just going to paint around the top of the cup where I'm going to put that first stripe. And then I'll lay the paper over top of it, and then I'll paint over top of it with more glue. You're going to want to try to get out all the bubbles. Any bubbles that come up underneath that paper, you want that out. So do your best to smooth these strips on without leaving any air bubbles underneath it. You'll see there, it's a little bit too long for my liking, so I just went ahead and tore it off. It's okay that there's no burnt edge on the end of that, because later we're going to distress our cup. So now I'm just painting over the top with the glue and smoothing it out, trying to get all the excess off. It does dry clear on the cup, so you don't have to worry about that. And I'm paying close attention as I'm doing this to watch out for any air bubbles. And later, if you notice that there are some, there's a way to fix that, and I'll show you how to do that in just a little bit. So I'm just going to continue here placing on stripes wherever I want them. Now that image, again, I found it on Google. I just searched for the Constitution. I know that there's some people that sell the image on Etsy, but honestly, you can find it on Google and not have to pay for it. Just print it out. I used regular printer paper to print that out. At the top of that cup there, I had my finger pressed down with glue on it, and I removed just a tiny bit of my red paint, but that's okay because, I mean, I fixed it. when I saw it later on, I took a little bit of paint and painted over it, and I used some of my distressing paint to make sure that it was completely fixed later on. That was me looking at my thumb and seeing that red paint on there. That should tell you how sticky that glitter glue is. Sorry that I kind of went out of range a little bit there as I was doing that. It's hard to see what I'm doing, but I'm continuing to just paint on glue so that I can put strips on there. This cup looks a lot harder than it really is. I hope that when you guys watch it, it'll be super helpful and you will have the confidence to give it a try because it's really not hard. And I'll stress again, be sure to let your paint completely off gas if you use spray paint prior to putting on your strips and all of that. Here I'm using my finger to just press down on the paper that I'm noticing some air getting under. And while it's still wet, I'll try to peel it back a little bit and reposition it if I'm able to. If not, I'll show you how to fix it in a little bit. You guys be sure to leave comments. I'd love it if you would like the videos and share them because it really helps me a ton. I'm working on trying to get a lot of tutorials out to help other people and also to gain subscribers so that maybe I will be able to reach my goal of having enough subscribers that I can be an influencer on YouTube as well as become an Amazon influencer. That's my goal. I'm just trying to, seek other avenues of income for our family and my small business. So I'm happy to provide tutorials and help for anyone that needs it. And it costs you nothing to like, subscribe, and share. So I super appreciate everyone that does that. And if you have ideas of other tutorials that you would like me to do, just let me know. I'm happy to do any of them. So here I've got my strips all on. And now's when I'm going to figure out where do I want to put the We the People. So make absolute sure that there's no air bubbles or anything on any of those strips before you place your We the People. And as you can see here, I noticed some. So after those strips dried, I took it in 2 hours. I took my X-Acto knife and I just make small slices of where those air bubbles are and press that paper down. If I need to put a little bit of glue back on it to press it down firmly, then I do that. But it's not hurting anything and it's not noticeable to use your X-Acto to do that. And so here I'm deciding where I want to put that final strip. I usually try to do it diagonally across the cup. And that one is a little bit wider, so it does tend to get some air bubbles under it. But again, later on, I just take my X-Acto knife and I slice through any areas that have bubbles and I press the air out and make sure it's good and flat. So I'm going to let that all dry for 2 hours. Again, look for air bubbles. And once all of it's completely dry and flat with no air bubbles anywhere, now is when I'm going to distress it. So it's all dry. I'm taking some jet black apple barrel acrylic paint and a chip brush, and we're just using a tiny, tiny, tiny bit of acrylic paint. You could probably use black gloss too if you wanted to. I haven't tried that, but come to think of it, you might be able to. So I'm just putting a tiny, tiny bit on there, and then I'm using my brush to just kind of wipe off the excess because you want to dry brush this over your cup. You're just getting just a little bit on there. Start out light and you can get heavier with it as you go on. It's however you want it to look. This is the easiest cup ever because you really can't mess it up. And you can cover any flaws with that black paint when you're distressing it. So you see there, I'm just kind of going back and forth, across the cup, over the red, the blue, the stars, the strips, all of it. And I'm just going back and forth. Now that one little dark spot that you see down there on that cup, it's where I guess I had messed around too much with the paper. So I had some glue and paper pieces that just kind of accumulated there. So what I did was I tore another piece later on, which is, it's not in the video, but I'll go ahead and tell you. Like I said, you can fix anything. I tore another little piece off and I put it over that area there, glued it down, let it dry, and then distressed over it. So really, any kind of issues that you have with this cup are easily fixed. And once I got it all distressed the way that I wanted it, I let it dry overnight. I mean, there's very little acrylic paint on here, but just to be safe, to make sure that all of that stuff is completely and totally dry before moving on to BT, I just let it sit overnight. And the following day, I'll start my BT layers. Of course, it's every 4 hours. You can lightly sand every 3 to 5. There's really not a reason to sand a whole lot on this cup because it's not a glitter cup. Plain cups don't normally need a lot of sanding. Now, if you have some higher edges than others on that paper, you'll want to sand like every 3 to 5 until that cup is smooth. Once it's completely smooth, there's no reason to sand. Just continue to layer every 4 hours until it's as glassy finished as you want it. So you'll see there how I've got it distressed. And then that is the finished result of one that I've gotten done already. There's a couple little specks of glitter that found their way on there, but I think it turned out pretty good. And like I said, if you have any questions, let me know. I'm happy to help. Let me know if there's another tutorial that you would like for me to make. Like, share, subscribe, and I appreciate you. Thank you guys so much for watching.